Do not be afraid. I have seen your tears. I know your suffering. I know your heart. I can give you a gift that will lift you out of this struggle forever.
In the name of Jesus, I refuse you.
Ada, my child, do not be afraid. I have seen your tears. I know your suffering. I know your heart. I have come because your pain has reached me. Hey there, pour a cup of tea, get comfy, and let your heart listen. The story's about to start. Welcome to Tales Vibe, where laughter and lessons flow together. If you love a good story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more tales every week. And please tell us where you're watching from in the comments. We'd love to know where our story family is tuning in from. Ada's luxury hair had become one of the most talked about shops in Lagos. Women from different parts of the city mentioned it with excitement. The shop was known for two main things: fine human hair and Ada herself. People said Ada had a special touch because everything she sold looked good on anyone who wore it. Ada was just 28, but her name was already popular in the beauty business. She carried herself with confidence, always dressed neatly, and her hair was usually the first thing customers noticed. It didn't matter if it was a wig, a frontal, or braids. Ada styled it so well that many women wished they looked like her. Some customers even came to the shop just to see what hairstyle she would wear next. Her shop attracted both rich and regular customers. The surprising part was how affordable her products were. While other sellers charged very high prices, Ada's prices were much lower, yet the quality of her hair remained top-notch. Because of this, her shop was always busy. On some days, customers queued outside before she even opened. Many wondered how she managed to sell such luxury hair for so little, but Ada never explained. She only smiled and told them to enjoy their purchase. Wholesalers and retailers also rushed to her shop. They would buy the hair in large quantities and travel to other states to resell. Some of them tried to copy her business style. They sourced hair from different countries and tried to reduce their prices, but none of them succeeded. Ada's prices remained unbeatable. People whispered that maybe she had a special supplier somewhere, but nobody knew the truth. Ada herself enjoyed the attention. She treated her customers politely and often gave them helpful hair tips. Many women trusted her completely because she never pushed them to buy expensive items. She simply showed them what suited them best. This made people return again and again. Despite her rising fame, Ada hardly shared anything about her personal life. She focused on her business and kept her private matters to herself. Some people assumed she was just naturally lucky. Others believed she came from a wealthy home and was only expanding what her family started. But Ada never confirmed any of these stories. She just kept working, and the shop kept growing. Her success spread across Lagos like gist on a busy afternoon. Fashion influencers posted about her. Brides recommended her. Even celebrities bought from her once in a while. Within a short time, Ada's luxury hair became a household name. But while everyone celebrated her success, nobody knew the full story behind her rise. Nobody knew where her hair came from. Nobody understood why her business grew so fast. And Ada made sure nobody asked too many questions. Her shop was famous, her name was respected, and her money was flowing. To everyone else, Ada was living the life many dreamed of. But only Ada knew what she had agreed to, something that would soon catch up with her. For many people in Lagos, Ada's success looked easy. They saw the fine shop, the steady customers, and the confidence she carried. But Ada's journey had not always looked this smooth. Behind the bright name of Ada's luxury hair was a story she rarely shared, a story that shaped her more than anyone knew. Ada was born into a wealthy family in Enugu. Her parents had waited many years before she came into their lives, so they cherished her deeply. As their only child, she grew up surrounded by comfort. She attended good schools, wore fine clothes, and never lacked anything she asked for. Her parents supported her interests, especially her love for business. Even as a teenager, Ada talked about owning her own shop one day. Everything changed the year she finished university. Her parents traveled for a business meeting, but never returned home. The news hit Ada like a heavy blow. The shock stayed with her for days, and her world suddenly felt empty. Losing both parents at once was something she never imagined. Before she could recover, her father's brothers stepped in. At first, Ada thought they had come to support her. But things quickly took a different turn. They accused her of being the reason tragedy struck the family. They claimed her presence brought bad luck. Ada was too confused to defend herself. Within a short period, they took over her father's houses, cars, and businesses. They said she had no right to anything since she was only a girl. One morning, they ordered her to leave the family home. Ada begged them, reminding them she had nowhere else to go, but they refused to listen. With only a small bag of clothes, she walked out of the compound where she had grown up. From that moment, Ada's life shifted drastically. Lagos became her place of escape. She believed the city offered more opportunities and fewer familiar faces. But Lagos was hard. Without money or support, she struggled daily. She slept in corners, begged for food, and hoped things would get better. The girl who once moved with ease now fought just to survive. Yet, even in her lowest moments, Ada held on to one thought. One day, I will own my own business. It was this dream that kept her going. She didn't know how it would happen or when, but she refused to let the pain crush her hope. She believed something would eventually change. And something did, though not in a way she expected. Ada's path was about to cross with a force that would lift her up again, but at a cost she didn't fully understand. Ada continued her struggle in Lagos, holding on to the little strength she had left. Every day felt like a test. Some days she found small work to do. Other days she simply wandered, hoping for kindness from strangers. The weight of her losses followed her everywhere, but she refused to give up completely. Still, the emptiness in her heart grew, and the hardships slowly drained her. One night, after another long day of disappointment, Ada sat alone beside a quiet stretch of water. She didn't come there for anything special. She only wanted a moment where nobody asked her for anything or reminded her of what she had lost. For the first time in months, she allowed herself to cry freely. She cried for her parents, for the life she once knew, and for the pain she carried every day. As her tears dropped into the water, the surface began to move in a strange way. Ada looked up, confused. The ripples grew wider, forming a shape she didn't understand at first. Slowly, a woman-like figure rose from the water. Her presence was calm but powerful, and her eyes seemed to look directly into Ada's heart. Ada froze. She wanted to run, but her legs refused to move. The figure spoke softly. Ada, my child, do not be afraid. The sound of her voice felt strange, gentle yet commanding. Ada could not explain why she listened instead of fleeing. I have seen your tears, the figure continued. I know your suffering. I know your heart. Ada swallowed hard. Who are you? She asked quietly. I am the goddess of these waters, the figure replied. And I have come because your pain has reached me. Ada wiped her face with her shaking hands. She wanted to believe she was dreaming, but everything felt too real. The goddess stretched her hand toward Ada. I can change your life. I can give you a gift that will lift you out of this struggle forever. Ada looked up slowly. For the first time in months, she felt something close to hope. What kind of gift? She asked. An endless supply of the finest human hair, the goddess said. Hair that people will rush to buy. Your business will rise, and your name will spread across Lagos. You will never suffer again. Ada's heart beat fast. This sounded like everything she had ever prayed for. But the goddess wasn't done. There is one condition, she said calmly. Anyone who wears the hair will belong to me. Ada's breath caught. She understood the weight of those words, yet she also remembered her nights on the street, her hunger, her loneliness, her fear. After a long moment, she whispered, I accept. The goddess smiled slowly. Then it is done. After the goddess spoke those final words, the water became still again. Ada sat there for a while, unsure of what she had just agreed to, but the promise of a new life pulled her away from fear. She got up slowly and returned to the small corner where she kept her few belongings. She expected nothing different, but when she entered the spot, she stopped suddenly. 3 large bags sat neatly on the floor. Ada's eyes widened. She touched one of the bags, unzipped it, and gasped. Inside were bundles of human hair finer than anything she had ever seen. Silky, full, and perfectly arranged. She checked the second bag, more hair. The third, still more. For the first time since losing her parents, Ada felt real excitement. She sold some bundles to local sellers the next day. The money she made shocked her. In less than a week, she rented a small room and found a tiny shop space. She cleaned it, arranged the hair, and opened her doors. Customers came almost immediately. At first, a few people stopped by out of curiosity. Then they returned with friends. The news spread quickly. Ada sold luxury hair at prices nobody else could match. The quality amazed everyone who touched it. Before long, the shop became busy every single day. Each morning, Ada woke up to find new bags of hair waiting for her, just as the goddess had promised. She didn't know how they appeared, but she didn't ask questions. All she cared about was the steady growth of her business. In a few months, Ada moved from a tiny shop to a bigger one. Her name grew in Lagos beauty circles. People posted videos about her. Brides requested her. Even wholesalers started to gather outside before she opened. Some sellers became jealous. Others were confused. They couldn't understand how Ada's prices remained low while her products stayed top quality. A few tried to imitate her, but nothing they sold matched what came from Ada's shop. Ada enjoyed every moment. Money flowed in easily. She hired assistants. She upgraded her shop. She dressed better. People respected her. The hardship she once lived through began to feel like a far memory. Yet, deep inside, Ada remembered the goddess's condition. She pushed the thought aside often. She told herself it wasn't her concern. She wasn't forcing anyone to buy the hair. She wasn't going after anyone. She was simply selling what she had been given. As long as her business continued to grow, Ada convinced herself she had made the right decision. But while Ada celebrated her rise, strange things were quietly happening to those who used her hair, something she had not yet noticed. As Ada's business grew, her customers continued to rush in daily. Nobody questioned the sudden availability of her products. Nobody asked how she restocked so fast. They only cared that the hair was fine, soft, and affordable. Ada enjoyed the praise, smiling each time someone said they would return. But outside her shop, something else was quietly building, a pattern that only a few people noticed at first. The dream started with one customer. A young lady who bought a wig from Ada wore it proudly for a weekend event. That night, she dreamt of standing beside a calm river. She couldn't explain how she got there. All she knew was that she wasn't alone. A shadowy figure stood across the water, lifting a hand as if calling her. She felt fear rise in her chest. Before anything else happened, she woke up panting. By morning, the memory faded, and she brushed it off. Then it happened to another customer. And another. Within weeks, almost everyone who wore Ada's hair experienced the same dream. Some felt uneasy but didn't think too deeply about it. Others remembered nothing except a strange heaviness when they woke up. Nobody connected the dreams to Ada's hair. Lagos people have busy lives. Dreams were the least of their concerns. The pattern became clearer when a woman told her sister about it, and the sister laughed because she had the same experience after buying hair from the same shop. A group of friends later discovered they shared similar dreams too. They found it funny at first and believed it was just stress. None of them knew the truth. Each dream was a sign of the goddess marking another soul. As the dreams increased, Ada remained unaware. She focused on her daily profits, new customers, and growing reputation. She convinced herself that the goddess's condition didn't concern her. She wasn't harming anyone, she told herself. She was only running a business. But even Ada couldn't ignore everything. One day, a customer returned to complain, not about the hair, but about a feeling she couldn't explain. She said she felt watched every night. Another customer said she dreamt the same river dream twice. Ada pretended to listen, smiled politely, and reassured them it was nothing. Inside, she felt a small pinch of worry, but she pushed it away quickly. The dreams continued spreading quietly across Lagos, touching more women than Ada ever imagined. Each dream pulled them one step closer to the goddess who had given Ada her rise. And soon, someone who would not ignore the dream was about to enter Ada's story. The strange dreams continued spreading among women in Lagos, but none of them took the matter seriously. Some forgot the dreams completely, while others dismissed them as simple nightmares from stress or tiredness. Ada had no reason to worry, since nobody linked anything to her shop. Her business kept growing, and her confidence remained steady. But everything began to shift the day Saad stepped into her story. Saad was known among her friends as a calm and devoted woman. She lived a simple life, kept to herself, and focused on her faith. Many admired her discipline, saying she prayed more than anyone they knew. She wasn't the type to chase trends or flashy things. Most days, she wore her natural hair or braids and didn't bother with human hair at all. However, Sada's wedding was approaching, and her best friend, Amaka, wanted her to look exceptional on her big day. "Saad, this is your wedding," Amaka said one afternoon as they reviewed wedding plans. "You can't just do your normal hairstyle. You need something elegant." Saad tried to resist, but eventually gave in. She didn't see the point of arguing when Amaka was clearly determined to help her shine. A few days later, Amaka dragged her to Ada's luxury hair. The moment Saad entered the shop, she felt something shift inside her chest. Ada welcomed them warmly, smiling as usual, but Saad couldn't shake off the strange feeling. She didn't understand it, but something about the shop made her uneasy. Still, she kept quiet so she wouldn't spoil the outing for Amaka. Ada brought out different styles for Saad to try. Saad finally chose a soft, flowing wig that framed her face beautifully. Amaka clapped excitedly, insisting it was perfect for the wedding. Saad nodded slowly and paid for it, though her spirit still felt unsettled. That night, after trying on the wig again at home, Saad went to sleep. The dream came immediately. She found herself standing beside a river. It was silent and empty. She looked around, feeling a strange pull deep inside. Suddenly, she saw a figure on the other side of the water, raising a hand as if calling her to come closer. Fear gripped her. Saad opened her mouth and shouted, "In the name of Jesus, I refuse you." The figure froze instantly. Saad jolted awake, breathing fast. Her heart pounded as she removed the wig from beside her pillow. By morning, she told herself not to worry too much. But when the dream returned the next night, clearer and stronger than before, Saad knew something was wrong. This time, she was no longer alone in the dream, and the face she saw across the water was not a shadow. It was Ada. Saad woke up shaking. Seeing Ada's face in the dream was something she could not ignore. She sat on her bed for a long time, replaying every detail. The river, the call, and the moment she rebuked the figure. It was too clear to dismiss. She knew this was not an ordinary dream. By morning, she called Amaka. "Amaka, I need to see you today," she said with urgency in her voice. When they met, Saad wasted no time. She explained the first dream, then the second one, and how Ada's face appeared clearly across the water. Amaka went silent. After a moment, she swallowed hard and said, "Saad, I've been having the same dream." Saad stared at her. "You too?" Amaka nodded slowly. "3 times. I didn't want to tell you because I thought it was stress. But now that you're saying Ada was in yours, something is not right." Hearing that confirmed Saada's fears. This was connected to the hair. It had to be. "We need to talk to Ada," Saad said firmly. Amaka hesitated, but the seriousness in Saada's eyes convinced her. They headed straight to Ada's shop. When they arrived, a small crowd was standing outside. The shop was closed and customers complained loudly. "Ada never closes without notice," one woman said. Another shook her head. "Maybe she traveled. This is strange." Saad and Amaka exchanged a look. Closing unexpectedly was not something Ada was known for. Without wasting time, they left for Ada's house. When they reached the house, the compound was quiet. They knocked several times but received no answer. Saad, driven by a force she couldn't fully explain, pushed the door gently. It opened. Inside, the silence felt heavy. They followed the faint sound of breathing to Ada's room. The sight that met them made both women gasp. Ada was lying on her bed, her skin burnt and peeling. Her face was swollen, and her eyes barely opened. A disturbing smell filled the room. Amaka covered her mouth. "Jesus, what happened to you?" Ada struggled to speak. Her voice was thin and rough. "It came back to me," she whispered. Saad stepped closer. "Ada, what did you do? Tell us the truth." Ada's eyes filled with tears. She knew she could not hide anymore. The pain she was feeling was unlike anything she had experienced. The deal she made had turned against her. "It is time," she whispered weakly. "I will tell you everything." At that moment, Saad realized her dreams were not warnings for her alone. They were warnings for Ada too. Something she had done in the past had finally returned. And the truth she was about to confess would shake all of Lagos. Saad pulled a chair closer and sat beside Ada's bed. Amaka stood at the doorway, still in shock. Ada's breathing was weak, but she forced herself to speak. The shame in her eyes showed she had carried the secret for too long. "Ada, start from the beginning," Saad said gently. Ada nodded slowly. "After my parents died and my uncles threw me out, I had nothing. One night, I went to sit by the river. I cried until I couldn't breathe again. Then the goddess appeared." Saad and Amaka exchanged a glance. "She told me she would change my life," Ada continued. "She promised me endless human hair and a big business. But she warned me, whoever wore the hair would belong to her." Amaka gasped. "And you agreed?" Ada closed her eyes. "I was desperate. I didn't think of the consequences. I just wanted a way out. Before I knew it, the The bags of hair started appearing. My shop grew fast. I became popular, and I forgot everything about the agreement. Saad leaned forward. So the dreams people are having, including me? Ada nodded. It's the goddess calling them. I thought it wouldn't matter. I told myself it wasn't my problem. But last night she came for me. A tear rolled down her cheek. She said I had collected too many souls for her. She wanted her reward. I refused. I told her I wanted to stop. And that was when she attacked me. Fire covered my body. I screamed but nobody heard. The room fell silent. Amaka shook her head slowly. Ada, you used Lagos women to pay your debt? Ada wept openly now. I regret it. I swear I do. I didn't know it would go this far. I didn't know it would come for me too. Saad stood up. She wasn't angry. She was troubled by how deeply Ada had fallen without help. She walked to the window and breathed in slowly. We can't leave you like this, Saad said finally. You need deliverance. Nothing medical can heal this kind of attack. Ada looked scared. Do you think it's possible? Nothing is impossible with God, Saad replied. But you must be ready to abandon everything connected to that goddess. Ada hesitated. She had built her entire life on the business the goddess gave her. But looking at her burnt skin and the fear she felt every time she blinked, she knew she had no choice. I am ready, she whispered. Saad nodded. Then we start today. I'll call my pastor. Amaka stepped closer. Ada, you must tell the truth publicly when this is over. People need to know what they bought. Ada wiped her tears. I will. I promise. Little did they know that Ada's battle was only beginning, and the goddess was not done with her. Saad stepped out of the room and dialed her pastor immediately. Her voice shook as she explained Ada's situation. Within an hour, Pastor Emmanuel arrived at the house with 2 prayer partners. When they saw Ada's burnt skin and the fear in her eyes, they understood the depth of the battle ahead. Pastor Emmanuel pulled a chair close to her bed. Ada, before we begin, I need to ask you one thing, he said calmly. Are you truly ready to let go of everything the goddess gave you? Ada nodded weakly. Yes, I want my life back. I'm ready. Good, the pastor said. Because this fight is not small. They began to pray. At first, the room stayed quiet except for the steady rhythm of their voices. Then Ada started shaking. Her breathing grew heavy. She grabbed the bedsheet tightly, as if something was trying to pull her away. Amaka stood in the corner, frightened but refusing to leave. Saad moved closer, praying under her breath. Suddenly, Ada let out a loud cry. She is coming. She doesn't want to release me. Pastor Emmanuel raised his voice. By the power in the name of Jesus, every covenant you made with darkness is broken. Ada screamed again, this time louder. Her body twisted as if invisible hands were fighting for control. The prayer warriors continued without stopping. Sweat formed on everyone's faces, but they didn't slow down. After what felt like hours, Ada collapsed back onto the bed, exhausted. Her breathing slowed, but something about her face looked different, lighter, freer. Pastor Emmanuel laid a hand on her forehead. It is breaking, he said quietly. But you must confess everything. Darkness loses its power when truth comes out. With tears rolling down her cheeks, Ada began to speak. She confessed the deal she made, the goddess's condition, the dreams, and the souls tied to her hair. She didn't hide anything. Saad recorded everything so the truth could be shared later. As Ada confessed, her burnt skin slowly began to improve. The wounds didn't vanish instantly, but they softened and the pain reduced. It was clear that the hold over her was weakening. When the prayers finally ended, Pastor Emmanuel looked around the room. Ada, you are free, but this freedom comes with responsibility. You must cut every tie to the blessing she gave you. That shop, that hair, you must let it go. Ada nodded, tears still falling. I will. I can't go back to that life. Saad placed a hand on her shoulder. We'll help you start again. This time clean. That night marked the end of Ada's old life. The covenant was broken, but the news was already spreading across Lagos. And her journey was about to unfold. The morning after the deliverance, Ada woke up feeling lighter than she had felt in years. Her skin still carried marks from the spiritual attack, but the unbearable pain had reduced. Saad and Amaka stayed close, helping her sit up and eat something small. For the first time since the encounter with the goddess, Ada felt like she could breathe without fear. The first step was to let go of everything connected to the old life. With Amaka's help, Ada drafted a message explaining the truth behind her business. They shared the recording on social media, group chats, and with customers who had previously bought from her. The reaction was instant. Shock spread across Lagos. Many women panicked when they realized the strange dreams were not normal. Within hours, people began burning the hair they bought from Ada's luxury hair. Instead of hiding from the backlash, Ada accepted all the blame. She knew it was the only way to begin again. Next, she closed her shop permanently. She left the keys on the counter, walked out, and didn't look back. Everything in the shop, the shelves, the chairs, the mirrors, had been part of a life she never wanted to return to. She donated all her personal belongings, keeping only a few clothes that were not tied to the business. For the first time since her rise, Ada felt truly empty, but it was a clean emptiness, one that made room for peace. Saad helped her find a small, quiet apartment and lent her money to start fresh. They agreed she should stay away from luxury hair for a while, so Ada focused on selling simple, honest products. She bought small items in bulk, repackaged them, and sold them at fair prices. It wasn't much, but it was clean. At first, customers hesitated to trust her again. Some avoided her completely, afraid of anything linked to her past. But Ada didn't complain. She greeted every customer with humility and patience. Slowly, people noticed her change. They saw the honesty in her new business, the humility in her attitude, and the effort she put into making things right. Weeks turned into months, and the rumors began to fade. Ada's new shop, small and modest, started to pick up. The money wasn't like before, but it was honest, and that alone brought Ada joy. She no longer woke up afraid of strange shadows. The dream stopped. Her nights were calm. One evening, after closing her small shop, Ada sat by her door and breathed deeply. She was no longer rich, but she was free. No goddess. No hidden agreements. No fear. Just peace. And to Ada, peace was worth more than all the luxury in Lagos. And that's the end of today's tale. We hope it brought a smile, a thought, or a little bit of magic to your day. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video, subscribe to Tales Vibe for more weekly tales, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. We love hearing from our story family all around the world. Until next time, keep your heart open, your imagination alive, and remember, laughter and lessons always go hand in hand. See you in the next story.